reorient my stool. Got my phone over here so I can look at the live chat. Oops. Okay, there I am. Hello, person here. I'm going to be making an easy live culture media recipe. Got a lighter in my back pocket I want to take out. There we go. Like I was saying, I'm going to be making some live culture media, and it's a really easy recipe where I'll be using honeycomb and corn syrup. And I'll be making it in a coffee pot, and I'll be sterilizing it in a pressure cooker. All right. So I'm going to do a little more than half a quart-sized jar. I could do the full jar, but I wanted to colonate pretty quick. So that's why I'm not doing the entire mason jar. So I got it measured out in here, and I'm going to put it in the coffee pot. So I did a bunch of shorts recently where I was doing this recipe, and I stitched them all together and uploaded it as a video, but I didn't have any of it as one continuous piece. So that's why I wanted to do this. And I also just like live streaming. So I got a shot glass here, 1.5 ounces. I'm going to measure out 1 shot of McCormick or Great Value corn syrup and add it to the coffee pot. Hello, what's up? Hello from Australia. Hey, nice to see you. And what up? We're making liquid culture media. So I'm going to measure out 1 shot of this corn syrup. The Great Value brand, it's pretty cheap, and it's not like you need anything fancy for this recipe. So I would recommend just getting a bottle of Great Value corn syrup. And I bought this bottle almost probably 5-6 months ago. So you don't go through it super fast either. So I would highly recommend just getting the Great Value corn syrup. I'm just put the 1 shot in the coffee pot. And then as for the honey, I am going to cut a piece of the honeycomb out, and I'm going to put that here in the filter area and just run it through. Yes, pickles or cucumbers, whichever. Come on. There we go. So the honeycomb, it's just wax. And so you don't need a knife or anything like that. You could just use a spoon. This amount right here is plenty. A little bit of honey goes a long way. I'm just going to take the coffee filter out and wipe the spoon. Why complicate things, right? So now I got the honeycomb. Just going to put this right back in the filter zone. I'm trying to structure the filter in there how it usually goes, you know, how it's supposed to go. Because one of the major benefits, you would think I've never made coffee before, but one of the major benefits to making this recipe is that the next morning, it just dissolves, and the honeycomb, it just dissolves and ends up in the pot. But there's still residue on that coffee filter that's still in the pot. So the next cup of coffee you make, or pot of coffee, it is so delicious. I can't even describe how freaking delicious running some water through the coffee pot with honeycomb in the filter. It just makes the best cup of coffee ever. I can't describe it any other way. I'm sure that's a well-known trick, but I discovered it by accident because last time I made this, which was only about a week ago, was the first time, and I was being kind of lazy, to be honest with you, and I didn't want to break out a regular pot and pan, and so I was like, who said I can't make it in a coffee machine? There's no reason I shouldn't be able to, so I just went for it, and I poured some of the honey in the pot, and then it just kind of hit me. I was like, I'll put some honeycomb in the filter, and it worked out. Like I said, I'm sure that's something that's well known by aficionados of whatever that would be a part of. But I found out by accident, and I am so happy. Usually my laziness does not benefit me in the long run, but this time it actually really worked out because I came up with an easier way to make the live culture media, and I found a way to make the most delicious coffee I've ever had in my life. That's a win. Harry, my good friend, sweep, dirty chef, introduced me to you. I hope you saved this because I could really use this. Like, keep it active after the live. I am. And I've seen you comment on the channel before. I recognize that that picture. It's unmistakable. Rugrats was one of my favorite cartoons growing up. So there's a scene from the Rugrats that I think about all the time. And it's when Stu and I can't remember the mom's name, unfortunately, but I want to say Peggy, but I don't think that's it. But they were taking care of Angelica while she broke her leg or something like that. And Stu was stirring a pot of pudding at 3 a.m. and his wife walks in and asks him, "Why are you making pudding at 3 a.m.? And he's just like, "Because I've lost control of my life I just think about that scene constantly. It stuck with me since the first time I saw it is probably 5, 6 years old. And I'm going to keep the live stream up, and I'm also going to save it and edit it and upload it as a regular video on my channel. So it'll be immediately active and available after this live stream, and I'm going to do more with it as well. What is the mom's name from Rugrats? It is killing me that I can't remember. I'm pretty sure the dad was Stu. So this is almost done with its cycle. I have cheesecloth over here that I'm going to do the filtration with, and I've got a razor blade right here that I'm going to cut the cheesecloth with. Love you, man. I'll check you out after my meeting. Well, I appreciate it. I love all of my fans. I hope to see you around more often. Hey, maybe later on in this stream. And I hope whatever your meeting is, it goes well. So in my last group of shorts that I was making this, I showed the first 2 jars of media I made that I did not filter properly, and it makes a huge difference. So I have cheesecloth because that is the most recommended thing to filter it with, or an old t-shirt. That's what I've read that as well. PD, thank you, Ryan. And how you doing, Ryan? I saw your message on Facebook earlier, but I didn't open it yet. I was setting up this live stream, but it's great to see you. So I'm going to let this just cool off a little bit while I set up the jars that I'm going to filter this media into, and I will show you guys how I do that. It's really rather simple, but you don't know unless someone tells or shows you, right? When I was insulating my shed, a lot of my box cutters got a little bit of foam on them, and I got most of it off, but sometimes I'll still have trouble opening them a little bit. Slow down talking because I actually have a razor blade in my hands now, so I got to be a little more cautious. It doesn't matter if you mush up the cheesecloth. You can be as rough as you want with it whenever you're cutting your section out. So don't worry about that. Be careful. There we go. Make sure you close whatever or put away whatever you were cutting your material with. I will put this over here. You really don't need that much. So I cut off enough for 2 cycles. I'm going to use 2 separate jars to get my final product. So I'm going to now cut this portion of cheesecloth. If you want to see about the length here, I'll do the best I can. So about that much cheesecloth is enough for 2 jars. Try to get this nice and even before I get the razor out. And this should go without saying, but always cut away from yourself. Never cut towards yourself. That's how you end up in the emergency room. And as clumsy as I am, and I've never had that happen, there's no excuse for yourself. Come on, guys, let's talk. Let's get some talking going on. Oh, there's only 4 people. Isn't this riveting entertainment? Must see YouTube, right? No, it's just the guy sitting on a stool with a coffee pot. That's fair. So the way I secure my cheesecloth is I just use a jar lid. Your standard mason jar lid comes in 2 pieces. So you do have a section that you can place over the cheesecloth and screw the jar lid on top of it. Make sure you give yourself a little bit of a pocket. I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. There we go. That looks good. A pocket or a pouch, I guess you could call it. A nook or a cranny, but just a little bit of room in there for when you pour it. So it's not just a flat surface that the culture ends up all over your table. So I'm going to filter it twice. I'm going to pour the pot into this jar, which will be the first filtration. Then I'm going to pour what's in here into this jar. And on this jar, after I get the filtered media in it, I'm going to put, this is a 1-piece lid that I have modified with the self-healing injection port and a microspore filter. Because the live culture, once you inoculate the jar, the live culture needs to breathe. And you want the filter there for gas-air exchange. And you want a self-healing injection port. I'll show you the bottom of the lid just so you can see it. And you want the self-healing injection port because you don't want there to be any kind of, oh, no, I'm going to put that on afterwards. But you don't want there to be any kind of security breach by contamination. And the self-healing injection port helps defend against that. And I've reused self-healing injection ports without any problem. Let's say I got a grain bag and my grow in that bag is over. I don't throw away the injection port with the bag. I take it off and I reuse it. So I bought 1 sheet of injection ports a year ago, and I haven't even finished the whole sheet yet because I just reuse them as I go. Hopefully one day I'll be able to expand the mushroom farm and I'll need 100 sheets, but I'm not there yet. Hopefully I will be one day. So as you can see, I did the same thing here. Really, honestly, I didn't do it as well as I did it on this one, but I think it'll be okay because this is the second filtration point. Let me see if I have any messages. First, let me show you this. The first time I did this, I didn't bunch up the filter at all, so it was just perfect in there. So this one's a little bunched up and messy, but you can see it dissolved in there. There's a little bit of stuff left. I guess maybe some of the harder wax. None of that was left in the last time. Oh, it smells good. I love honey. I absolutely love honey. And it seems like the mycelium loves honey too. So if I can provide that to the mycelium, I get it, dude. I love honey. It makes sense that you love honey, so I'm going to give you honey. I know that's a little bit crazy, but I never said I wasn't. I wanted to see how hot it was to see if I could hold it up while I did it. It really looks nice and clear. Got a rag over here. Sticky fingers. And I don't have to worry about sterilization, or I don't have to worry about the media being sterilized at this stage in the process, because it'll go in this thing to kill everything inside of it. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to pour it into the next jar. Just put this to the side for now. Put this down. Finger's a little bit slippery and I don't want to drop the ball, so to speak. Make sure this is nice and secure. This is the second filtration. Boom. It's that easy. That looks pretty clear to me. The next step is sterilization, which is in the pressure cooker. Last time I tried to do a video with the pressure cooker running, I uploaded it, but I took it down within 20 minutes because the audio was so bad that I couldn't stand it. It was annoying. So I'm not going to run the pressure cooker on this live stream, but I will show you what I do. You'll never believe it, but I start off by opening it. Revolutionary stuff, I know. So I usually will use jar lids as trivets. The trivets that usually come with the pressure cookers, I got 2 pressure cookers. Well, I got 3. I got 2 electric pressure cookers. They both came with trivets that are raised. So they're good some of the time, but they do not work with this. I want to make sure that is really nice and tightened. You can use aluminum foil to do this next part, but thankfully I got some of these silicone jar lids whenever I ordered live culture media jars from North Spore. You can see their logo right there. North Spore is awesome. North Spore, I can't say enough good things about them. So I'm going to put this on the jar to prevent any more liquid from getting in, and also to prevent any from getting out. It's nice and snug on there. I can take this out to show you guys. This is the first video I've done since I set up my new work area. I didn't think to say that until now, but my other work area collapsed whenever the Texas snowstorm hit recently, a couple of weeks ago. And I decided to move wherever I wanted to change its where it was. So I used to have it set up right next to the mushroom farm, but I decided to move it to the other side of the yard, and I have it tucked in here in the brush. That's what I've been doing for the past week, clearing out this area. It was full of thorn vines and your typical Texas brush. So finally got done last night, and I was like, I need to actually do some mycology stuff on my mycology YouTube channel and not just yard work. So that's why I'm here. Well, I'm here for a lot of reasons, but that's one of the reasons. Thankfully, I have a whole lot of mason jars. And that was my Bluetooth speaker falling down that I'm using to weigh down the tripod, because we're professional around here. The microspore filters, they're not reusable like the self-healing injection ports. Just so, let me put the lid on the corn syrup so I don't make a mess. I'm going for another jar right now so I can get another lid to be a trivet. I don't want to move the phone too much because it'll stop picking up audio and stop streaming. So let me do a better job of this. If I'm going to show you how to do it, I need to actually show you how to do it. We'll probably take 5. Let me take this out of here. Maybe I can get one more in. Let me move the honey. Just so the people that don't know now, mason jars, you can get a dozen of them for like $8 from Walmart or any other store like that, big box store. If you try to get some off of Amazon, they're going to be $15 for 2. Just so I'm not rich over here with my mountains of mason jars. It ain't like that, man. Man, I could do 7. When it comes to sterilizing grain or media in a mason jar, I'm more familiar with the stovetop pressure cooker. because these jars are pretty tall. So I haven't been using the electric pressure cooker, but I can't get the stovetop working out here. I got some burners that just plug into the wall, but they haven't been powerful enough to actually get a pressure cooker up to 212. And pressure cooker, you really want to get up to 250. So 212, if it ain't even doing that, it's not going to do anything sterilization wise. Just wanted to see if there were any messages. Looks like 7 is the magic number. So you want there to be space in between the floor or walls of the pressure cooker, because you want as much steam as possible to be around the surface area of the jar. That's how the pressure cooker actually sterilizes grain, or anything for that matter. You want the absolute most amount of surface area you can get to be covered in steam for 2.5 hours at 15 psi at 250 degrees. That's how you sterilize. And that's for everything. The sterilization process, it doesn't matter if it's 1 jar in the pressure cooker, and it doesn't matter if you could somehow get 50 in there. It's the same exact measurements or temperatures. It doesn't change. And it doesn't matter how thick of a grain bag you have either. It's still 2.5 hours at 250 degrees, 15 psi. I'm no scientist, engineer, or anything, so I can't explain exactly why the size of the thing inside of the cooker doesn't necessarily matter, as long as there's enough surface area covered in steam. But I know it works because I've done it. So trust me, guys, I'm totally trustworthy. No, but seriously. So I'm going to run this after I get done streaming. I've got this big thing of water. I don't buy a new one every time. I refill this one. And I like this one because it has a nozzle on it. I feel you, Ryan. Even if you put them on their side, because this one, I'm going to put it on its side. And I could put another jar in here with it. That would be no problem. If another jar fits, I could do 3 grain jars or culture media jars in this pot. Let me make sure. Let me actually put it in here and see if the lid will fit before I go telling lies. No, you can't do 3, but 2 does just fine.